Welcome back to Conversations for December. And what a great gift it is for us today, because we have a special guest for this segment, Norma Merrick. And before I introduce Norma, let me tell you a little bit about why Norma is here today. Last month, actually the last Sunday of the liturgical year, the Feast of Christ the King, November 24th, we had a very special ceremony at the cathedral. It was a time of prayer in which we gave thanks for leadership within the Archdiocese. Our Holy Father, Pope Francis, honored with special recognition 9 very special people, and Norma is one of them. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that recognition before we have our interview. The papal honors are, in essence, always doing 2 things. First of all, they're recognizing the wonderful contribution that baptized Catholics can make within their church and within the world. And we have 9 very special people who have done just that. And secondly, they are a way for us to be joined to the universal church in union with our Holy Father, Pope Francis. I'd like to talk about the 9 people who received awards, and as you look at the listing, perhaps you know yourself some of them. First of all, there were 2 who received the Pro Ecclesia e Pontifice Cross. That's the cross uniting these people to the Church and to the Holy Father. Sister Mary Prisca Pfeffer, who is a mercy sister at St. Raphael Parish in Louisville, was one, and Norma Merrick at St. Bartholomew Parish, whom we'll be talking about in a minute, was the other. There were also 7 people who were recognized for what's called the Bene Miranti medal. It basically means job well done. And the first was Dr. Salem George. He is St. Augustine Parish parishioner in Lebanon, Kentucky. Dr. William Godfrey from St. James Parish in Elizabethtown. Mr. Richard Lecklider from Holy Spirit Parish in Louisville, the Honorable Romano Mazzoli from Our Mother of Sorrow Parish in Louisville, Dr. Brian Reynolds of Holy Trinity Parish in Louisville, who's also the Chancellor for our diocese, and Mrs. Annette Mandley Turner of St. Martin de Porres Parish in Louisville, who's also the Director of our multicultural ministry. And finally, and most importantly, Mrs. Clara Zoller, who is a member of St. Lawrence Parish in Louisville. We commend and pray for them because they represent countless thousands of lay leaders throughout the Archdiocese who give so freely of themselves because of the grace of Christ and because of their love of Christ. And now it's my pleasure to welcome you, Norma. Thank you so much for being here today. Let me tell everybody a little bit about you. First of all, Norma has been working within the Archdiocese since 1978. Now, if that's not commitment, I don't know what is. You've worked, Norma, for 3 archbishops, for Archbishop McDonough, of course for Archbishop Kelly, and then for 5 years we worked together so closely. And by the way, I'm very, very grateful for that gift you've given. There's a certain truism in the chancery whenever someone's unsure of anything. I say it and others say it. Well, just ask Norma. And that has been a wonderful gift of service to the Church, and I thank you for that, Norma. Norma, as I mentioned earlier, you're a member of St. Bartholomew Parish, and we're really grateful for you being here. Listen, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what brought you to work for the Archdiocese.
Well, I was born and raised in the old St. Aloysius Parish on Payne Street. Went there to grade school. When I graduated from there, of course, having the Sisters of Mercy, I had no other choice than to go to Mercy Academy. Graduated from Mercy in 1958. At that time, the Catholic schools were in desperate need of teachers. And Monsignor Pitt, who was the superintendent of schools at the time, had instituted the Monsignor Pitt scholarships, which were given to high school students, high school graduates that were interested in going into teaching. So there were 2 other girls and myself that were awarded these scholarships, and we went to the old, it was Nazareth College then, it's now Spalding University, that summer, the following year, the following summer, and then taught school. So I taught for 3 years at St. Martin of Tours.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So at that time, my stepfather died, leaving me with my 9-year-old brother to take care of. And there was a decision that I had to make whether to take care of 35 kids or to take care of him. And at that time, I was offered a position at Mercy Academy in the school office there. And I went to work there in 1962. I worked with Sister Mary Prisca during that time, and Sister Mary Prisca was also principal at Mercy when I started there. So I was at Mercy during that time. Then in 1978, I heard that Archbishop McDonough was looking for a housekeeper and a cook.
Oh my gosh, so I thought secretary. But
well, you know how the Holy Spirit sometimes sits on your shoulder and says, I've got an idea and I think you ought to listen to this?
Yes.
Well, that's what happened. And everybody else thought that I had completely lost my mind. So I came down, talked to Archbishop McDonough, and he hired me as his housekeeper and cook. About a week after I had started, he came home one night and asked me if I would like to be his secretary.
Oh, wow.
And that was 35 years ago.
And so you've
I'm
served so well with Archbishop McDonough and, of course, with Archbishop Kelly and with myself, Archbishop Kelly, for many years. In this little time, tell us a little bit, a story or so that our viewing audience might like to hear.
Well, my favorite story is shortly after the announcement of Archbishop Kelly. His appointment was announced in December of 1981, and shortly after that, I had gone out to Archbishop McDonough's house to help with packing up some of his personal belongings for his move to Florida. And the phone rang. So I answered the phone in my most professional voice, Archbishop McDonough's residence, and I hear on the other end of the line, "Hi, Kelly here." And I thought, Kelly who? Who is this? Yeah. Then it dawned on me who it was, that it was Archbishop Kelly. And he then proceeded to ask me to stay, which I did. The other favorite story that I have happened on May the 21st, 2007, and you may remember that day. The nuncio had called Archbishop Kelly to tell him who his successor was going to be. And when he finished the phone call, he came out and stood in front of my door, and he looked like a little kid that had gotten the most important toy that he ever wanted at Christmas time. And he said to me, "We got him. We got Joe Kurtz."
Oh, well, wasn't that, hey, listen, that's a very complimentary story. I'm not sure if that's Archbishop Kelly's bad judgment or not, but what a wonderful story. You know what I remember is after that, you and Archbishop Kelly came down to Barren River State Park, and I drove up from Tennessee before it was announced and I thought, boy, are you both organized? So that was wonderful and very, very kind and receiving. Norma, you have done so much, and the time flies by, but I know people who are listening are going to say, well, now, what's Norma going to do? Tell me just something about your retirement now.
So, well, as you know, I'm a big baseball fan.
Oh, yes.
And a couple of friends and myself have gone on several baseball tours, visiting some of the major league ballparks. There are some of them that we haven't been to yet, so that's hopefully in the future.
What they call it, your bucket list.
Yes, that's my bucket list. And I've also offered to help Father Dale Cieslik in the archives after I retire. But then again, I might just sit and wait for the Holy Spirit to whisper again that he's got an idea.
Well, you know what? I must say, I know that the friendship that we have will continue long after you retire, but we are very, very grateful, and I speak for many people in thanking you, Norma, for your wonderful commitment to Christ and to people. You really have shown a great gift of compassion to so many people. It has been
my gift, my pleasure and my honor to do so.
And thanks for being, doesn't the conversation go fast?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, we are now finished with this conversation, except for me to say a big thank you to you, Norma, for sharing so much of yourself and of your stories today.
Thank you.
And to those of you who are viewing, thank you for your presence. Please stay tuned for the third segment of Conversations for the month of December.